Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
The TNT Prime Minister gets guidance on putting the hangman back to work. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, March 28. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley now has a manual that he can follow to ensure all the necessary steps are taken for his government to carry out the death penalty again, less than 2 weeks after announcing that he had turned to former Attorney General Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj to help his administration. Rowley has been given a capital punishment policy outlining what the government needs to do and which type of murderers should pay the ultimate price. But even as he assisted government in that regard, Maharaj was critical of the 2 bills that call for the end to preliminary inquiries and trial by jury. Kijan Haynes of TV6 News reports.
When Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj was this country's Attorney General, his case management unit monitored the progress of cases from conviction to appeal. And there are many appeal processes, from the High Court to the Court of Appeal, then to the Privy Council, then to the American Commission on Human Rights and the Inter-American Court on Human Rights, and finally the United Nations Courts on Human Rights. Now, that case management team, consisting of almost every sector of the justice system and the Ministries of National Security and Foreign Affairs, were tasked with following all of the cases and creating and sticking to a timeline to get through each appeal.
The case management unit devised a system and a procedure for any delay in the appeal or application process to be avoided, and if there was any indication of such delay, I was requested to intervene as the Attorney General to have the process expedited.
Maharaj created a manual with all of this information, which he presented to the Prime Minister. He's convinced TNT can send convicted murderers to the hangman within that 5-year deadline.
Is a plan which has to be implemented by the government, by the ministry responsible. I am not engaged in the implementation of that plan. The plan I submitted to the Prime Minister was pro bono. No fee was requested and no fee will be requested. I did that as a public service.
Maharaj also recommended that murders be categorized so only the most heinous murderers get the death penalty. But Maharaj says even before hanging, government needs to work on detection. He recommended instead that government implement the DNA law as a matter of urgency. He recommends the existing investigative unit of the police service be overhauled and purged, and to have more undercover agents. He also wants to see the witness protection program overhauled. As for the proposed legislation to implement trials without juries and the abolition of preliminary inquiries, Maharaj contends they'll do nothing to remove the bottleneck in the courts, and instead would transfer the backlog from the Magistrates' Court to the High Court.
This bill required consultation with the legal profession and the public, and for the government to have conducted a study as to the impact this law would have on delays on the justice system. The statements made by the DPP, which I have referred to above, show that the government has a duty to withdraw this bill pending further study.
Meantime, tackling crime is high on the agenda of the new leader of Jamaica's opposition People's National Party, Dr. Peter Phillips. He said the PNP would have a plan ready for implementation whenever it next wins elections. Phillips was speaking after officially taking over as PNP leader on Sunday night.
The solution to crime is not to be rooted by giving government and the state more power to unleash violence on the people. The solution to crime is not in passing laws to take away people's rights. The solution to crime lies in building up communities, not tearing them down.
Part of the building up process includes improving the education sector, getting rid of squatter settlements, and, as he puts it, providing land for the landless.
The next PNP government is determined to undertake the most ambitious land titling project ever. In short order, I will be naming a committee to begin the work to create a new legal framework, so that when we get into government, we won't have to waste no time.
And that report from Andrea Chisholm of Television Jamaica. Criminal charges against 3 members of Antigua and Barbuda's main opposition United Progressive Party have been dropped. Supporters chanted and celebrated as UPP leader Harold Lovell, former Education Minister Dr. Jackie Quinn, and St. Philip South Member of Parliament Wilmoth Daniel emerged from the court building without the charges hanging over their heads. The trio had been accused of larceny, fraudulent conversion, and corruption in relation to 3 buses worth more than 600,000 EC dollars that had been donated to the former UPP administration by Japan. The prosecution had alleged that the trio converted the buses for personal use and had them registered in their names while they were in public office. The charges were first filed in the St. John's Magistrates Court on May 30, 2016. When the 3 accused appeared in court on Tuesday, Magistrate Conliffe Clark said the defendants did not have a case to answer. Dominica's opposition United Workers' Party is making alternative plans after being denied police permission to stage a protest march on Thursday. The protest was to be part of the opposition's continuing campaign to get Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and his cabinet to step down. UWP leader Lennox Linton has taken to Facebook to express his disappointment. In the absence of permission to march, he says the party will hold 2 public meetings instead, and he promises they will be peaceful.
We're going to do it peacefully. We're going to do it very orderly. We're not in any confrontation mode. We are simply saying in a loud voice with the sons and daughters from all across Dominica that Skerrit must go. We'll say it in Pottersville, and we'll say it in Lago, in the center of town.
Last month, violence broke out in Roseau following an opposition anti-Skerrit march and rally, which led to the arrest of few UWP workers or supporters and charges laid against at least 2. In his letter refusing permission for the march this week, Police Commissioner Daniel Carbone said the denial was due to public safety and national security reasons. But Linton says he's surprised by the tone of the letter and maintains that he is not in a combative mood against the police.
Because we are seeking to have a peaceful, law-abiding activity, an activity in dissent, an activity in protest of the Prime Minister's continuance in office, having regard to the disgraceful way in which he has shamed and dragged our name through the dirt of disgrace in the international community, and the way in which he has mismanaged our affairs here. We are standing on the democratic right for the right to have him removed from office so our country can move on.
The government of Belize is welcoming the decision of ratings agency Standard & Poor's to raise the country's long-term foreign currency rating to B- from SD. S&P said it had noted that Belize had completed its 3rd debt restructuring in the last 10 years. It added that the ratings on Belize reflect the government's still high debt burden, offset somewhat by its improved amortization and debt service profile for the next 3 years. Prime Minister Dean Barrow, speaking in Parliament, said the S&P ratings further solidified his position that the current debt restructuring program of the government is well placed.
Also raised our rating bonds included in the, or rating on the bonds included in the sovereign's debt exchange to B- from D. Finally, we raised our transfer and convertibility assessment to B- from C. In other words, in effect, Standard & Poor's seems to be echoing the judgment pronounced by the reporter with which I regaled you the last time. This restructuring is a brilliant coup on the part of the United Democratic.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, a new Electronic Communications Act for the Eastern Caribbean is coming. That story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome to SwiftPack, your online shopping and shipping solution. Receive the best rates, expert cargo management, and exceptional customer service. SwiftPack provides secure handling of your smallest packages to your largest cargo with speed and reliability. We invite you to use our U.S. mailbox service, online shopping, ship air and ocean cargo from the supplier to your door. We handle it all for you. Get started now. Sign up for a free regular account or premium account, or give us a call on 440-6100. SwiftPack. You shop, we ship, you save.
With the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, opportunities to relocate for work as a CARICOM Skilled National have been expanded to include 10 categories of persons. 2 of those categories are artisans and household domestics holding a Caribbean Vocational Qualification, or CVQ. A CVQ is a certificate you can apply for based on how well you do your job. If you are certified as a household domestic, including housekeepers and home health workers, or an artisan, including persons in the building trade, craft persons, and machine operators, you could be eligible to move for work. CVQ standards have been developed with regional employers, so your skills will be recognized wherever you go. Contact your national training agency to find out about CVQs for artisans or household domestics, or visit csmeonline.org for more information. The CARICOM Single Market and Economy. Make it work for you.
Welcome to Dominica, a true fantasy island. Whether you're in search of extreme adventure, or a family vacation, or a relaxing getaway, Dominica is fun for everyone. And a place where you can totally disconnect and enjoy paradise. Discover Dominica, the nature island.
The Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, ECTEL, says it's closer to formalizing a new Electronic Communications Act. The act was among the issues discussed at a recent meeting of the authority. Now, coordinator of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission in Grenada, Lawrence Samuel, says the legislation will take into account the changing environment of telecommunications in the region.
I think one of the things that I can say is that the continued process of looking at replacement of the Telecommunications Act. As we know, the Telecommunications Act is now almost 16 years old. And based on the changes that have occurred within the sector, I think it is imperative for us to have an act that more reflects, changes, and so that we are better able to regulate the sector in these changing times. So I think that is probably one of the major discussions or elements coming out of that meeting, is that the move to have the new act brought to the parliaments of the various ECTEL member states, so that we are we are fit for purpose relative to the regulating sector as in this ever-changing environment.
The new act will include the policy of net neutrality, which is based on the principle that Internet service providers should treat all data on the Internet the same.
One of the basic things in the act, and I know it has been a thorny issue, the issue of net neutrality. The fact that the internet should be free to all persons who want to use and to ensure that there's no blocking or throttling of any service.
Samuel says ECTEL has conducted a number of reviews. However, consideration is given to each member state who will be at different levels in moving the bill forward.
That report from Josanne Mackey-Smith of GBN News. Over to Barbados now. The temporary ban on corned beef and other meat products from Brazil has been lifted. And Barbadians have the green light to resume consumption of those items. The ban was implemented amid concern about the quality of meat from Brazil following the discovery that some meat processors were there selling rotten beef and poultry. Senior veterinary officer in Barbados, Dr. Mark Trotman, says the ban was just a precautionary measure to see if Barbadian imports were compromised. But he says after investigations and lab testing, he is satisfied that the brands being sold in Barbados are safe for consumption.
I'm happy to now report that none of the establishments that produce corned beef for Barbados were implicated in the police action that took place in Brazil. There's no indication that any of the companies that export the corned beef to Brazil were involved in any way in this action.
The Ministry of Agriculture came under some criticism for the ban, but Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Ellsworth Reed, is stoutly defending the decision.
Now, I know that there was some criticism levied against the ministry by probably one person who believed that the ministry had acted a bit too hastily. But one has to recognize that when you're dealing with the health of the people, you can't wait until something happens.
Still in Barbados, the 13th edition of Caribbean Festival of Arts, CARIFESTA, was launched Monday evening. Culture Minister Stephen Lashley underscored the importance of the region's premier arts festival. He says the August 17 to 27 festival will bring significant economic benefits to the island as it hosts some of the region's best artists.
CARIFESTA 13 is expected to generate much economic activity on our island, when the expected 300 plus artists and artisans come to Barbados along with their friends and relatives to take part in the festival. From hotels to transport to restaurants to technical providers, and the list can go on and on. All of these will benefit from the activity associated with this event.
This year, the event will be held under the theme Asserting Our Culture, Celebrating Ourselves. And ahead in Newsline Sport, the West Indies captain expecting better fortunes for the regional side going into the second T20 against Pakistan. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
One aim of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, is for CARICOM nationals to be able to move in the region, to seek work, to visit, to establish a business, or to provide services. CARICOM also provides a complaints procedure which allows you to report any instances where you have experienced difficulty in accessing your rights, either on arrival or once in the country. Simply complete the form provided online and at a number of locations. Submit it to the CSME focal point in your home country, the country where you had an issue, or via the web. The complaints procedure works to safeguard access to CSME for all CARICOM nationals. For more information, visit csmeonline.org or call your local CSME authority. The CARICOM Single Market and Economy. Make it work for you.
West Indies captain Jason Holder says he expects the Caribbean men to bounce back from their first defeat in the T20 series now that they have a better idea of their opponents, Pakistan. The T20 skipper said unfamiliarity with the number of Pakistani players, especially debutant leg spinner Shadab Khan, was the principal reason for the Windies' 6-wicket loss in the first 2020 international on Sunday at Kensington Oval. Khan had a memorable spell of 3 wickets for 7 runs from his allotted 4 overs as the home team was restricted to 118 for 8 before the visitors successfully chased down the target with 17 balls remaining.
We need to just sit down and work our plans against their bowlers. Obviously, we're coming up against some guys who we've never played in just a situation of finding out how best to play them and work with the conditions that we have. I felt the wicket today was so slow. If the ball was back in the pitch, it was a little bit more difficult to hit while up to the bat. So bearing that in mind, we just need to find an option when the ball's back in the pitch, whether it be pace or spin, and we know how to counteract their plans.
And Captain Holder ruled out the pitch being a factor in the poor batting display.
Well, it's clear we didn't bat well. We started off with a run-up, which gave them momentum. It was a pretty good piece of fielding. We never really recovered from there. It was a situation in the middle where we had to consolidate, build a partnership, and you try to do that with Sunil and Pollard, the last probably recognized partnership there. And then Carlos came in and obviously joined Pollard and played a good knock. But we were always struggling in terms of wickets. We lost wickets at crucial stages, and we never were able to lay a platform to blast.
A maiden first-class 100 from West Indies Under-19 World Cup hero Casey Carty failed to stop Windward Islands Volcanoes from securing a 7-wicket victory over Leeward Islands Hurricanes in the regional 4-day tournament on Monday. The 20-year-old St. Martin-born Carty struck 103 to add a substance to Hurricanes' second innings total to 351 before the Volcanoes successfully chased 52 for victory on the final day of the 8th round match at Warner Park. The Hurricanes, resuming from their overnight total of 105 for 2, reached 222 for 4 at lunch, with Carty in sight of his milestone. Jamar Hamilton and Rakeem Cornwall made 43 apiece, but discarded West Indies off spinner Shane Shillingford snapped up 6 for 114 from 34.4 overs, finishing the match with figures of 12 for 192 to bowl the Volcanoes into a winning position. The result meant the Volcanoes earned 20.8 points and completed the season doubles over the Hurricanes, whose season aggregate increased by a mere 3.4 points. Now, over at the Kensington Oval, Raymond Reefer was the main architect of the leaders and defending champions Guyana Jaguars escaping with a draw against Barbados Pride. Reefer led tail-end resistance with an unbeaten 35 following Shivnarine Chandapal's second half century of the match as the Jaguars were bowled out for 322 in the second innings. He then returned to grab 4 for 49 from 6 overs to leave the Pride's victory chase in shambles as the home team stumbled to 75 for 5, leaving them 18 short of the target. The result meant that Pride earned 11.8 points, moving to 99.2 for the season, but remained 10.6 behind the Jaguars, whose tally for the match was 6.6. And Captain Nikita Miller's 26-5 wicket haul in the first-class cricket helped Jamaica Scorpions hauled their losing skid with a convincing 87-run victory over Trinidad and Tobago Red Force inside 3 days on Sunday, set a modest but tricky 229 for victory at Queen's Park Oval. The hosts were bundled out for 141. The second time in the contest, they failed to crack 200 after being dismissed for 173 in their first innings. Miller swept through the innings to finish with 5 for 45 and claim match figures of 9 for 85, taking him to capturing 450 wickets in the first class. Cricket. Now, leg spinner Damian Jacobs provided the support, picking up 3 for 55 to add to his 3 from the first innings. Earlier, Scorpions were dismissed for 201, the same score as their first innings after resuming the day on 172 for 7. Left-arm seamer Sheldon Cottrell picked up 2 of the 3 wickets to fall to finish with 3 for 52, while seamer Riyad Emrit failed to add to his tally from Saturday, ending with 3 for 30. Now, Scorpions had lost both of their games since the restart of the competition earlier this month. Go Brave. That's the call from head coach Dennis Lawrence to the Trinidad and Tobago Soca Warriors, who will be preparing for the second World Cup qualifier against CONCACAF giants Mexico at the Hazley Crawford Stadium on Tuesday. TV6's Sergio Dufour was at Monday's pre-match press briefing, where Lawrence continued his call for players to believe in their potential.
Trinidad and Tobago and Mexico have met 22 times in the past. Mexico registering 13 wins as opposed to TNT's 4 with 5 drawn matches. More importantly though, Dennis Lawrence would have some comfort in knowing that they drew their last 2 matches against El-Tri back in 2015. He's also boasted with the news that defender Rodolfo Abubakar is fit to play, and it looks like Kevin Molino will be back as well.
So we focus mainly on the recovery strategies. No injuries to report. Kevin Molino had a quicker recovery than the 4 weeks expected. So I think we're all in good hands at the moment.
TNT last beat Mexico in 2005 when they qualified for the 2006 World Cup. 2 of the players that were present in that team are in the present squad, Coach Dennis Lawrence and assistant coach Stern John. But do they have a winning recipe?
I think the key for us is we have to be brave. We have to be brave to be able to say we know exactly what we want to do. What we cannot afford to do is allow Mexico to take total control of the game, which they are extremely good at. So it's going to be a great test for our group. But the idea is to be brave tomorrow and try and go toe-to-toe with Mexico and ensure that we stay involved in the game from that point of view.
Now that the Panama game is done, Lawrence says that the time for celebration is over. He says that the focus is on getting the players believing they have what it takes to match the Mexicans at the Hazley Crawford Stadium.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Every day across the Caribbean, non-food goods made locally, regionally and internationally make their way into the hands of consumers. And from time to time, some of those goods may be defective and might actually cause harm. The CARICOM Rapid Alert System for the Exchange of Information on Dangerous Non-Food Consumer Goods, CAREX, has been set up to protect you. If you receive dangerous goods, you can file a complaint with your local CAREX contact point, or you can log on to www.carex.caricom.org and fill out the online form. The relevant agency will investigate, and once that is complete, the CAREX system will alert other countries in the region so that consumers will be protected from goods that pose a serious risk. For more information and to see the categories of goods covered under the system, visit www.carex.caricom.org or contact your local CAREX contact point. The CARICOM Single Market and Economy. Make it work for you.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and Carib Vision.
Again, the major developments of this day. The TNT Prime Minister gets guidance on resuming the death penalty. And in sports, the Windies captain expected better fortunes for the regional side going into their second T20 against Pakistan. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to cornernews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.